Think about the last time you were stuck waiting. Maybe you were standing in line at the grocery store, sitting on a bus, or waiting for a friend to arrive. What did you do? If you're like most people, you probably reached for your phone, not because something urgent was happening, but because even a few moments of doing nothing feels uncomfortable. Researchers at the University of Virginia tested this. They asked people to sit in a quiet room with no devices for just a few minutes. That's it. No work, no distractions, just sit with their thoughts. The result? Most people reported the experience as deeply unpleasant. We are so uncomfortable with boredom that we run from it at the first chance we get. But here's the paradox. Boredom, this state we avoid like the plague, may actually be one of the most important tools we have for creativity, for meaning, and even for happiness. When most of us say, "I'm bored," what we really mean isn't that we have nothing to do. It's that nothing around us feels worth doing. Psychologists define boredom as a state where none of the available options feel engaging or meaningful. It feels like restlessness, but also lethargy. You want to do something, but you don't know what. That's why in those tiny gaps of life, waiting rooms, bus stops, traffic lights, our hands almost instinctively reach for a screen, anything to fill the silence. But boredom isn't just wasted time. It's a signal, a quiet whisper from the mind. Something here doesn't matter to you. This is where philosophy gives us a new lens.
The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "Whoever does not have 2/3 of his day for himself is a slave, whatever he may be."
In other words, freedom isn't about having more things to do, but more control over what you choose not to do. Another philosopher, Schopenhauer, argued that true happiness doesn't come from chasing pleasure, but from removing suffering and noise. And that's the paradox. We think the cure for boredom is adding more stimulation, more commitments, more entertainment. But often, the real cure is subtraction. Less noise, less meaningless commitments, less shallow interactions. Success in life might not come from constantly adding, but from carefully choosing what to remove. I like to think of this as precisionism, sculpting life the way an artist chisels stone, not by adding clay, but by removing everything that isn't essential. Boredom, then, isn't failure. It's the mind's alarm bell, telling us it's time to chisel away the things that don't matter. But philosophy is only half the story. Psychology and neuroscience give us another clue. When you're bored, when your mind isn't occupied by a task, a special brain network switches on. It's called the default mode network. Sounds technical, but it's simple. This network lights up when your brain wanders, when you daydream, when you're not focused on anything in particular. Now here's the catch. Most of us don't like this feeling, because when the default mode network activates, it often leads us to uncomfortable questions. What am I really doing with my life? Does any of this matter? These are not easy thoughts to sit with, so we reach for distractions. We silence the default mode network with endless scrolling, podcasts, videos, and news feeds. But the very discomfort we're running from is exactly where creativity, long-term planning, and meaning begin. When we lean into boredom instead of running from it, amazing things happen. First, creativity. In one study, participants were asked to do a boring task, copying numbers from a phone book. Afterward, they were tested for creativity. How many uses could they come up with for a plastic cup? The people who did the boring task came up with more creative solutions than those who didn't. Boredom primes the brain for imagination. Second, altruism. Other studies show that when people feel bored, they're more likely to donate blood, give to charity, or volunteer. Why? Because boredom makes us search for meaning. And sometimes, the quickest path to meaning is helping others. And third, goal setting. When the mind wanders, it naturally starts building a story of the self. Psychologists call this autobiographical planning. It's when you think about your future, your goals, and how to get there. If your brain is always busy with external stimulation, you rarely make time to step back and ask, where is my life heading? And fourth, resilience. Practicing boredom, letting yourself be without stimulation, actually makes you less restless in daily life. Work feels less tedious, relationships feel richer, the ordinary becomes interesting again. So how do we reclaim boredom in a world designed to eliminate it? Here are a few small but powerful practices. Phone boundaries. No devices at meals, and no phone in the bedroom before sleep. Give yourself pockets of silence. Screen fasts. Take occasional breaks from social media, a few hours or even a weekend. The first day feels like withdrawal, but then your mind begins to breathe. Device-free micro-moments. Try commuting, walking, or exercising without headphones or podcasts. Let your thoughts wander. And decision filtering. Before you say yes to something, ask, is this at least an 8 out of 10 for me? If not, it's a no. This protects your time and your mental energy. Each of these creates small spaces where boredom can appear. And in those spaces, creativity and meaning sneak back in. So the next time you feel that itch to reach for your phone, pause. Notice it. That discomfort you feel, it isn't emptiness. It's possibility. And boredom, the very thing we run from, might just be the beginning of something extraordinary.